overcoming self-doubt, self-sabotage, laziness, procrastination. Those are all, of course, different things, but they're kind of like twin siblings. They all have, I would say, same roots. They all cause similar problems in our lives, and they all require same solutions. It's a big problem because it's causing more troubles than it needs to be in our lives. Life is already difficult, but we sometimes make it much more difficult. To define self sabotage, I actually looked up what would be in English so we have a bit more clarity. Self sabotage can be defined as an action, thought, or a behavior that undermines our own progress, well being, and success. It involves consciously or unconsciously creating obstacles that hinder our own goals. Just the action of clarifying the definition of that, I think, can be very helpful when you understand what it is. That alone can help you to become more aware of what you're doing. Definition of laziness: reluctance or a resistance to engage in productive activities. Why do we do this to ourselves? It makes our life worse than it could be, and we still do this. And definition of procrastination, it refers to the act of delaying or postponing tasks or actions that need to be completed, the tasks that could ultimately bring us to success, but we don't do this. Now we talk about it, I mean, humans in whole, we talk about those problems much more than we used to because it was more common to work for somebody. We worked for paycheck. It's pretty straightforward. You don't go to work, you lose a job, you lose that paycheck, and then you end up on the street and hungry. It's it. You didn't have much choice. Well, other than to go to this job or not. Everything else was decided for you. You kind of dedicated decision making process and your choices, your freedom to somebody else. And now, because people start so many businesses, more and more become independent. Now you don't have anyone to respond to. It's just you you're answering to. Those problems surface more and more, and I see it with my clients. I get lots of requests. How do I stop being lazy? How do I stop procrastinate? How do I stop sabotaging myself? As to go through a few points on these issues, I'd like you to reflect at the same time. What is it you do from what I will be listing and how? One thing I'd like you to really pay attention to when you engage in those behaviors, or if you have a habit of some sort that sabotages you, when you do this, from which position you do this? Because very often it's not you are an adult, responsible, and mature person. This is a little child within you. The child that refused, that part of us that refused to grow up. We prefer to depend on others. That's why some people can never engage in self-employment. They need to work for somebody else because they have that parent. Somebody is parenting them, makes decisions, choices, commands them, orders them around, and then gives that paycheck. They can be miserable, they can complain all the time, but they will never quit because this is maybe only figure that plays parenting role in their life at the moment. But it can be in many different relationships with our siblings, friends, society in whole, governmental structures too. So instead of growing up and taking full responsibilities for your own existence, your actions and choices, in these situations, people prefer to be dependent. Now, why would I go and do whatever tasks I put on my to-do lists? I'm going to wait as a child, my mom or a dad, whoever was playing their roles right now in your life. They will come and fix it. They will address my needs, fulfill my desires. And unfortunately, so many people go like this through their entire life. Entire life. We all have at least some tiny part in us like this. So as you listen, and you can probably recognize when it comes to which area you might be behaving this way, or one certain task you refuse to address as an adult. Another position can be as a defiant teenager. I'm going to resist and defy everything. I know I should be doing this, but I'm going to do the opposite. I know I should be making certain amount of money every month to cover my living expenses, but I'm going to sabotage myself really. But it's that part that used to be resistant, defying your parents' orders, maybe, or a guidance. Could be loving guidance, but some part is stuck up on that, and we continue this pattern. So whatever the opposite we would do or just not do, both child and teen positions really means being stuck in that psychological age. I'm not saying whole of you is not mature, but some part is still there. Both refuse to grow up, become an adult, and start taking full responsibilities for their actions and blame others. Little child blames others for not fulfilling, not meeting their needs, not doing things for them, not giving things. And teen blames others for forcing them to do something they don't want. By the way, our clothing often reflects the psychological age or area of life from which problems we're facing at the moment, what needs to be addressed. Something resurfaced and you instantly fell back into this little child age, and now all of a sudden you start dressing differently. Reflect on your past. When you changed your clothing, your style, or makeup, or hair, if you went through a phase of coloring hair, neon colors and natural colors, that wasn't an adult, it was defiant teen. What did you protest it to? What did you try to resist then? To unstuck from both of the stages, you have to satisfy the needs that weren't met at that age, when you were a child or a teen. What at that age you desperately needed, but your parents couldn't provide. Time wasn't spent with you. You did not feel love. And it really does not always mean that they really didn't give it to you. It's how you perceived it. Or maybe it was the real case. Love, safety, their presence. You can be in the same room, but still feels like you're alone, right? Or maybe it was something material. Maybe they neglected you. Maybe sometimes you went hungry. Maybe they didn't buy you clothes that you need or shoes, something. It would be helpful if you do those things in writing. What happened when you went through the teen years? Very often, kids start to feel that they are not heard or not matter anymore. I'm not a little child. Parents don't run around me. They don't give me things easily. I kind of have to earn the attention. Maybe I didn't feel understood. Maybe they put too much pressure on me and demanded too much too soon. Maybe they wanted me to take too many of adult responsibilities too quickly. And maybe this is why I start protesting. Maybe your friends were more financially supported and given more opportunities. You weren't just because your parents couldn't. Maybe they didn't have those resources. Maybe logically you understood all of it, but psychologically it really traumatized you. If you recognize those problems, regression is helpful, healing inner child is helpful, rewriting all those scenarios, if you are able to remember specific cases that really stood out as traumatizing events, something that maybe you couldn't forgive your parents for, it would be helpful to regress and rewrite that scenario and create some sort of closure so it doesn't linger. Maybe some argument was still, after all these years, hanging up in the air. At least write out some sort of closure. As an adult now, no, it wasn't right to treat me this way. This is how I felt. This is how it maybe damaged me, traumatized me in some ways. This is how I wish to be treated. And this is how I am going to take care of it now. My boo boo, my trauma. Visualization. Can you visualize that scenario and create more positive ending to it? Role playing might be helpful. You probably instantly thought family constellation. I would say no to that because then you can create problems that you didn't have yet. Those are complete strangers stepping in and pretending to be your parents. I cannot tell you how many clients I had after their experiences with constellations that have trouble to recover from it. Role playing, you can draw pictures, like a picture book of your childhood, make a sensible story to it. You can take toys, something physical that would represent you, your parents, friends, or whatever, grandparents, siblings, and play it out. Having tangible things to touch and turn them towards each other, closer, pull them apart, it's all helpful. If you have a friend that is able to hold a safe place for you, it's not as much as they need to play out some role. It's just for them to hold that space and hear you out so you can verbalize those things out loud. That can be very helpful. And now, general things. Why we do this? Fear of the unknown. Stepping out of the comfort zone and embracing the change can be frightening. Logically, you may understand it's for the better. It's not scary, it's doable. But because your mind does not have related experience yet, it may lead you to self-sabotaging, procrastination, or you just freeze and it seems like you're just lazy. If that is the case, if something's completely new, maybe your brain just need a little more information to figure out how to do it. Then gather up more information, go Google, YouTube, books. If it's something bigger, more complex, maybe you need to consult with somebody. And then you want to create fake experience. Remember when we work with subconscious mind in hypnosis or meditation, when we access that ancient reptilian part of the brain, that part does not know the difference between real experience or a pretend. In that state, visualize the scenario of actually doing it. Create few different scenarios. You want at least 4, not on the same day. Doing similar things or exact the things that you want in different ways. So each time you do this in deep trance, it records as a real experience. Now, maybe a couple of weeks pass, you again sitting out with your planner, trying to start this process. Now your mind goes back to whatever's recorded, the experience. Oh, I've done it already a few times and the outcome was positive. I can do it again. And then you're not going to resist it. You're not going to sabotage yourself. Another problem could be low self-esteem and self-worth, lack of belief in yourself, lack of confidence. It can be coming from your real life experience when people weren't kind or supportive. Again, you will work with visualization, affirmations. You create few scenarios to help yourself to raise that sense of self-worth, self-value. You want to remember all your positive records. I've done this. It doesn't matter big, small thing. But I wanted to do this, I did it, and I succeeded. You want to remember and anchor those cases when you succeeded. Also, remembering when you felt that your success was recognized, when it was obvious that when you did something for people, they appreciated it. So remember those instances in your life and anchor those states. Also, it might be helpful if you have people like this in your life to actually come forward and say, I have problems with self esteem, with self worth. I have trouble believing in myself. Ask for help. It's funny how our brain works. When we hear things that maybe we knew forever, when we hear those things said by others, somehow we believe more in it. So if other people will tell you that you're wonderful, smart, capable, kind, caring, your mind will appreciate it more. Well, but also general limiting beliefs and negative social programming, it does play a big role. So recognizing those and undoing those will help you a lot. Same affirmations, meditations, regression, rewriting scenario, recording positive experiences with successful outcome. The more you do this, the better. And addressing that inner self talk right when you hear it. This little toddler comes up. No, you cannot do this. You'll fail again. No, nobody could do this, and you will not do this. So you address this right then as an adult. It's not true. You can even give some examples. But yesterday I wanted to do this, I did this, and I succeeded. Remember when I did that, we had great outcome. Therefore, next time I'm gonna do something similar, I will succeed too. So that negative self-talk, address it as soon as it comes. And something that we all experience right now is overwhelm. We often get confused about what should be prioritized. And that is a skill that is developed through practice, through practical application. Sitting down with your to-do lists, calendars, planners, this is all helpful. Figure out what's important to you. Are those priorities are your own priorities, or somebody else told you that it's important for you to do? So figure out if it's even your own desire and need. Because if it isn't, you'll sabotage it. Is this important to you? Maybe it was your goal a while ago, but now it just lost its meaning. Life changes all the time. You change. Maybe it's not just important for you anymore. Set yourself free, mark it off your list, give yourself permission not to do it. That's fine. Learn to prioritize what is important to me right now. From working with many different clients with different issues, and on my own experience, don't set more than 4 different priorities. We should strive to harmonize all areas of life, but we do have limitations. So 3, 4 things on the list. Is this health? Is this your career, your finances, your family? It's very difficult to do all of it at once. And it's all, of course, can morph with time. This few months I'm going to focus on this, then it will happen naturally when you have to switch. You'll know what problem will arise, what needs your attention. None of it is set in stone. But don't expect yourself to be perfect in everything and address all of it at once. Give yourself permission to prioritize only a few things at a time. Can change every month, week by week, or even tomorrow you may wake up as a different person, have different goals. That's okay too. Do a visualization, progress in time. Imagine that you already achieved your goal, your life the way you want to. Imagine that you really already experiencing that and pay attention to the body, how it responds. Do you enjoy it, or your body start to tense? Maybe then it's not a real thing for you. Maybe this is not what you really need at the moment. Breaking down big goals is helpful too, because if I'm looking at my 30 steps to do list, I know I might not be able to do it. It's easier to just give up and then lay down on the couch and turn TV on. Why bother? But even though you still need to accomplish all of those things on the list, if you give yourself permission, address at this moment only one thing, this is doable. So break it up in chunks, don't overwhelm yourself. Lack of motivation. Often I have clients complain about it. When you set the goal, you had motivation, just remember why you wanted it. And here you revive your motivation. That's easy. Routine is important too. All of it is a skill, a habit or skill you can develop through repetitions. Create doable routine. If it seems overwhelming, what if you just designate 1 hour of your day, or it can be 2 hours in a week, and protect that time? Don't schedule anything else into that frame. And as you start working on it, it might not seem as much at first. As you start working day by day in that frame, it will feel more natural, more comfortable, and then from already that created new comfort zone, you can expand further, you can push those boundaries. And another problem why we might not want to do certain things which we're supposed to is fear of judgment. The paradox is, just as much as we fear that other people will see not just what we do and judge us, just as much we afraid that we may work very hard, put a lot of time and effort, and nobody will notice, nobody will appreciate, nobody will recognize my success. So two problems that seems to be not related, but I think it all ties up together. Yes, develop your own sovereignty. That's why we have those shamanic energetic practices. You can work with the mind, but you can work with your body and energy too. And embrace imperfections. Give yourself permission not to be perfect. If you allow yourself that, then even if others expected from you, it wouldn't matter. Although in reality, most of people do not care what you do. Honestly, besides your mom and maybe your closest friend, who else care about what you do? Yes, self-reliance, independence is important here. If you have to make affirmations list and repeat it daily, or anytime you read comments, counting likes and dislikes on media or your YouTube videos, I know that I did well. Doesn't matter who thinks what. But also that recognition that we crave, if in your immediate social circle, among your friends or family, you feel that you cannot get that, join some groups, support groups, accountability groups. Accountability group is great. You'll get your fair share of judgment, but also recognition to keep you accountable. Somebody has to observe what you do. Somebody has to measure the amount of your effort and success. Therefore, you will feel seen. Somebody really understands how much work you put in. And another thing, I think maybe this is where we all should start. When we face what we feel maybe laziness, or we struggle with procrastination, it might be just when you need rest. Maybe you're exhausted, lacking energy, to love yourself enough to allow yourself to rest. Sometimes it means switching to a different activity to give yourself a break. Sometimes it means doing something different for a while. Sometimes it means doing something different with different people. So you switch your social environment. Sometimes it means doing something in different place, change of scenery. You pull yourself from that stale, stagnant, energetic space. You get a breather. And sometimes it means simply doing nothing, and that's okay too. I feel guilty when I do nothing. And then I have to remind you, even when I do nothing, my mind's still hard at work. I'm still solving some problems, coming up with some ideas. So maybe this is a best solution to our laziness and procrastinations, getting enough rest while your body's resting. Allow your mind to figure out how to actually approach those things. Well, this is all the tips I wanted to share. Now I want to do hypnosis for you.
I thought that was great. I really appreciated all the tips. Fabulous. Thank you.
Thanks. I mean, it's not rocket science. We all know that. We just need to be reminded sometimes.
Sometimes when we're doing nothing, it's like the equivalent of the void is like the womb of creation or whatever. So
Isn't
sometimes
it true?